In anticipation of a possible decision today on the Dobbs case that could overturn the 1973 Roe v. Wade ruling, left-wing protesters blocked intersections leading to the Supreme Court with the intention to #shutdown SCOTUS. And with the nation still awaiting decision, we're certain to see a repeat of today, and perhaps even worse when the decision is finally handed down. With me now to talk about the wait for the Dobbs ruling and more is U.S. Congressman Jody Hice. He's a member of the House Committee on Oversight and Reform and on the House Committee on Natural Resources. He represents the 10th Congressional District of Georgia. Congressman Hice, welcome back to the program.
Always great to be with you, Tony. Thanks for having me.
So, Jody, I'm just going to get your thoughts as we've seen this now for several weeks, where we are seeing these left-wing protesters that are attacking pro-life resource centers, disrupting church services, now blocking the streets to the Supreme Court. I mean, how far will they go?
They will go as far as they possibly can to advance their agenda, Tony. I mean, this is all to them about trying to intimidate our Supreme Court justices, intimidate state legislatures. If this thing goes the way everyone seems to think that it's going to go, it's all about pushing their agenda forward. And Tony, quite frankly, they will go as far as they can to accomplish that end. And frankly, they don't care if lives are going to be threatened or potentially put in harm's way in the process. This is all about intimidation, instilling fear in hopes of advancing their continued efforts of destroying the lives of innocent children.
So, Congressman Hice, how should we in the pro-life community and in particular in the church be responding in this moment when we see this effort, as you said, to intimidate, and I agree with you. They're trying to intimidate the court. They're trying to intimidate pro-lifers. They're trying to intimidate churches. How should we respond?
Well, we can't respond in fear. Listen, we are individuals who believe in a God that is much bigger than they are, that is much bigger than any problem that we face individually or corporately as a nation. And we cannot respond by fear. That is paralyzing in itself. So look, this is the hour for the church to have her finest hour, if I can put it this way. This is the time for us to pray like we've never prayed before, to be visible like we've never been visible before, to show up, to stand for life, to stand for righteousness like never before, and allow the intimidating remarks and threats to roll off our backs. We cannot be silent at this time. We must be present in force and in mass like we've never done before, but to do so in a right way.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's across the board. I think it's they think they can intimidate us, and I think we need to draw the line at this point and say, look, you're not going to intimidate us into silence or going away. We're here, and we're here to stay, to defend the unborn, and to stand for moral absolutes and truth. I want to switch gears for just a moment. Another topic, the House took this up. It passed with basically Democratic support. That is, they had a package of gun control bills. The Senate coming up with its own. We have not seen text, at least as of me going into the studio. I had not seen text of what they're actually proposing. What do you make of this bipartisan framework that we're hearing in the Senate dealing with gun violence that includes red flag laws, deeper background checks? What do you make of it?
Yeah, I'm very nervous about it, Tony. Look, I don't even like using the terminology gun violence. Guns are not violent. I have had, and I currently have, lots of guns. None of them have ever exhibited any degree of violence. And the reason is because I'm not violent. What we have in this country is a people violence problem, individuals who utilize guns or knives or whatever means they have available to exhibit violence within them. And that in itself is a demonstration of a spiritual problem that we have in this country that must be addressed. And as we have not seen text to this framework that you're mentioning, I would absolutely be confident that there is no mention of dealing with religious beliefs or bringing God back into the equation. It's all going to be about guns, that guns are horrible, that we need to restrict the Second Amendment rights of Americans, particularly law-abiding American citizens. These red flag laws scare me to death. They are an indication of guilt before any proof of guilt. And look, I think this is totally going down the wrong path. Like you, I've not seen the text, so we'll reserve a greater judgment until we see the text itself. But these type of bills make me extremely nervous. I don't like the way this thing is shaping up, just the mere framework itself as it's currently going. It's ignoring the spiritual problem that we have in this country. And I think that ultimately, at the end of the day, is what the issue of gun violence is all about.
Well said. I think you're absolutely right, and it's a great way to state it. It's not the violence coming from the guns; it's the violence coming from the people who will use whatever instrument they can get their hands on if they have violence in their hearts. And that's what we've said repeatedly. It's not what's in the hand; it's what's in the heart. But the Republicans putting a lot in the Senate, putting a lot of emphasis on two things in particular: mental health services and hardening the targets, making schools, a harder target. I'm all for mental health services, but I think even there we're not going deeper to the underlying issues surrounding this rise in mental health crisis that we're seeing in America. And I think a lot of it is spiritual. And when you're excluding God from the equation, religious counselors, most likely, it's just, we're not going to solve the problem. We're dealing with symptoms.
No, I mean, it's a typical way that Washington deals with problems. It's let's throw more money at it. Let's come up with a good title and then throw tons of money at it. And hopefully everyone will think that we're trying to address problems in this country. And look, you can't, it's not going to be successful. Again, you can't address a spiritual problem, a mental problem, by throwing more money at it. This is something that, again, as I referenced a while ago, this is a time for the church to have her finest hour. It's time for people to get involved in people's lives. This is not an issue that the government can just legislate or throw more money at it, and it's going to go away. And so right. I'm concerned with the direction this is going. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, Congressman Jody Hice, I hope that some of your colleagues in the Senate will take the same approach you and a few other members of the House have taken in addressing the bigger issues, the underlying issues. And in fact, if the Democrats want to have a discussion about really solving this problem, let's talk about inviting God back into our schools, having prayer back in America's classrooms. I think it's time to have that debate myself. I'm ready to have it. And I know you are, and I hope we'll have some in the Senate that will join us as well. Jody, we're up against a break. Always great to talk with you. Thanks so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Tommy.